Yes.
No one's told me about it. I didn't realize that.
What?
That he has a handwritten name tag.
I thought, yeah, it's been that way since we did it.
That's unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
That is unacceptable.
Well, you need a copy of the DDA for today? Oh, you got it?
It's wrong.
So you-
That's wrong. I think I'm glad you said something, George. You know?
I wish you had said something to me earlier.
It's a, thank you. The good news is it's pretty good writing. Pretty good.
Is everything, you think everything is inside?
They must have been watching cartoons as they were doing it.
That
Okay.
is fun.
We're going to call to order the council meeting of September 8th, 2020. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Gila, you're going to have to read.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're going to have to read the thing while I go back and do my math.
All right, man, I got it. Okay, if you are calling into the meeting by telephone, listening to the meeting and making oral public comments, members of the public can participate in the meeting by telephone to listen and make comments by using the following. Dial in at 1-888-251-2949 or 1-215-861-0694. They both have the same access code, which is 659-8767 pound. You wait 5 seconds and press pound again. The conference begins at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, and all interested parties may join the conference 5 minutes prior. When dialing in, the operator will provide further instructions on how you can make public comments via phone. If you are dialing in from a cell phone, please call from an area with good reception. Calls from landline phones are highly recommended. If you are watching the meeting via Facebook Live or Channel 35 while also accessing the phone line, it is requested that you mute the sound of your video feed as it is delayed from the phone transmission. Additionally, when you are making public comments on the phone line, you will be inaudible due to feedback.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. A quorum is present for the City Council, Successor Agency, and Housing Authority.
Public comment. Any persons wishing to address City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority on any item today, other than the public hearing, which will be at a different time, may do so at this time. Are there any callers on the line, operator?
Once again, to make a public comment, please dial #2 on your telephone keypad. And we have no comments at this time.
Okay. Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Warrant register.
Move allow
allow
payment.
payments.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members, Successor Agency members, and Housing Authority members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla, Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye. Consent calendar, items 2 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR1.
Staff report recommending approval of a master agreement and program supplement with the California Department of Transportation to approve and accept the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program Grant.
Move 1 and 2.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. Before we go any further, are there any persons in Community Room A?
Yes.
Okay, this is public comment. Go ahead, sir. Which item are you speaking on?
City Attorney reports.
Go right ahead.
So right now, there's a petition online where residents of the city of Inglewood are saying they do not want their tax dollars used to pay for Mayor Butt's sexual harassment
Okay,
case.
hey, my
Excuse
man,
me.
Excuse me. You're gonna have to come back at the end. Well, we do want to hear that. That's not on the agenda.
That's
So
for the
come-
city attorney, correct?
No, 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 that is not. So that's not on the agenda, but you're welcome to come back at the end.
Could we get 3 minutes at the end?
No, of course not.
This shit is too.
Okay, no, you won't. Thank you.
One more, Mayor.
Go right ahead, ma'am. Which item are you speaking on?
DR2? DR2.
No, you'll have to come, well, let's see, DR2? That'll be fine. Go ahead.
Where's my time, though? My time already started?
Go ahead, ma'am. You're fine.
Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is the effects of approving an item like DR2. DR2 is the adoption of a resolution accepting a grant deed, transferring 13 parcels, referred to in the Long Range Property Management Plan. I'm from the Lennox Inglewood Tenants Union, and firsthand I've seen how big projects like this, bringing the Clippers, bringing the NFL to Inglewood, how it affects tenants. And that's what I'm going to talk about. We've been organizing a building across the street from the stadium. That building was bought not too many years ago by a new LLC. When that new owner bought that building, the units were all taken up by tenants. Well into his time owning the building, half of the tenants had left. This was not by accident. This was by direct actions or inactions of the landlord. In this case, the landlord's son. Tenants are using all different types, landlords are using all types of tactics to intimidate and drive out tenants. It doesn't matter that there's a global pandemic going on. It doesn't matter that the government, federal and state, specifically state, is ordering folks to shelter at home. How will you shelter at home if you're homeless? The way landlords are driving out tenants include, hey, I'm a new owner. For 2 years, I've been your new owner, but you know what? I've been paying your water and your garbage for 2 years. But you know what? Just now, I decided to accumulate every monthly charge that you didn't pay that I didn't notify you about, and now you have this outstanding charge, and I want it now. Oh, suddenly you can't play in public spaces. Your son, your daughter, you can't, come together in the public space. You can't have your bicycle. You can't have your belongings here. Suddenly, it's minuscule, petty things that landlords are finding to discomfort a tenant, disturb their peace so they can leave. So then someone else can come, rent the apartment at a higher price. They can drive up the rent. That is how gentrification looks like. That is what the approval of an item like this leads to. That's speculation. When housing is not a human right and there's profit to gain from it, the incentive becomes profit and financial gain instead of people's lives and their right to survival in life. Instead, it's a pandemic. I can make money by driving out these tenants, even if it means they might die. That is happening all over California, and that is happening in Inglewood. The incentive is money at the cost of longtime residents of Inglewood's lives. It's a war on the poor. That's gentrification. That's this item.
Thank you. Okay, well, that'll close public. Is there anybody else down? Okay, that'll close public comment. And again, we go back to, we did DR1, we're down to DR2 now.
Okay, staff report recommending adoption of a resolution accepting a grant deed transferring 13 parcels referred to the Long Range Property Management Plan for future development as required by the LRPMP and implemented by a proposed disposition and development agreement by and between the city and Murphy's Bowl LLC concerning the proposed development of the property as part of the Inglewood Basketball and Entertainment Center.
Move adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. Madam Clerk, what's the next scheduled matter?
Yes, Mayor. The next scheduled matter is a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution approving a disposition and development agreement between Murphy's Bowl LLC and the city regarding development of the Inglewood Basketball and Entertainment Center.
Has the notice of the hearing been given in the time, form, and manner as required by law? And do you have the affidavit on file?
Yes, notice has been given and an affidavit is on file.
Have any communications been received on the matter?
Yes, Mayor. Communication has been received and passed out.
Is there a staff report on the matter, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Mr. Christopher Jackson, Economic and Community Development Director, will give the staff report.
Mr. Jackson, please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. On August 15, 2017, the City Council, the City of Inglewood as successor agency to the former Inglewood Redevelopment Agency, the Inglewood Parking Authority, approved an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement with Murphy's Bowl LLC for the proposed development of a premier state-of-the-art National Basketball Association professional basketball arena and other ancillary uses on properties located within a study area defined in the ENA. As contemplated by the ENA, the parties agreed to negotiate a disposition and development agreement which would provide for the acquisition by the developer of certain city-owned properties and a process for the potential acquisition of privately owned properties located within the study area. You may recall that on July 21st, 2020, this council adopted a resolution certifying the project environmental impact report, and among other actions, also introduced an ordinance approving a development agreement. Subsequently, on July 28th, 2020, this council also adopted an ordinance approving the development agreement between Murphy's Bowl LLC and the city. This particular agreement is to provide for the proposed development of the arena on the arena site for the use, the recreation, and the enjoyment of the public, as well as certain ancillary uses on the project site, as previously mentioned. The development proposal consists of the sale of city parcels to the developer, along with potential acquisition and sale of private parcels within the arena site to the developer. As you know, the developer proposed to construct the improvements that, of course, include the arena as well as other construction activity. The project site, which I'm sure all of you are aware of, the location, is at the intersection of Prairie Avenue and Century Boulevard. It's approximately 28 acres in size. Many, as noted in the staff report, of the vacant or undeveloped parcels on the project site were acquired and cleared by the city, the successor agency, between the mid-1980s and the early 2000s, utilizing grants issued by the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, as part of the Noise Control Land Use Compatibility Program for the Los Angeles Airport. These grants were aimed at removing residential land uses which were deemed incompatible with the overhead flight path. The agreement sets forth the terms for the disposition and development of certain properties under the control of the city and a process for the potential acquisition of certain private properties not within its control. As outlined in your staff report, I'll briefly go through those points. One is the sale of the purchase of city parcels. So this would allow for the sale of the city parcels that the city has control over for a appraised value of $66,250,000. And then those also subject to adjustments as set below in the actual agreement. Number two is the acquisition of private parcels. Prior to the effective date, one of the unfortunate realizations of a development of this type is that the developer uses reasonable, good faith efforts to acquire private parcels. Despite these efforts, the developer has been unable to acquire all the private parcels, and as a result, the city may, in its sole and absolute discretion, attempt to acquire the remaining private parcels and shall comply with all statutory and legal requirements applicable to the city's proposed acquisition of those remaining private parcels. The responsibility of the development, number three, the responsibility of development of the project site, the developer obviously is solely responsible for developing the project site and constructing the improvements on. The city has no obligation with regard to that. The cost of construction, again, the developer bears the absolute cost of the development in its entirety. Number five, the responsibility of the city. Some of the parcels were utilized for construction activity under the leadership of our Public Works Director and Assistant City Manager, Mr. Lewis Atwell, for construction of Prairie Avenue as well as Century Boulevard. And so those sites would have to be cleared and restored back to the appropriate basis on which it was originally configured for the developer. Number six is the development of the hotel site. The city is acknowledging that the developer intends to transfer the hotel site to a third-party developer for the construction of that, and the terms of that are set forth in this DDA. Employment and training. I'm going to spend just a second, which is a highlight of things that the city is attempting to do to make sure that we have participation, especially within the city, and particularly minority participation as well. The developer agrees to comply and cause compliance with contracting as well as employment and training requirements. Those include a 30% goal of total value of the project, contracts and subcontracts to minority contractors, and half of that, 50% of that 30%, to local businesses in the Inglewood area. Also, there will be workforce outreach of $600,000 and job fairs with $150,000 allocated towards that. Also, one of the things that we have spoken about is the point of sale, which is the last point. Point of sale, this agreement requires the developer to use their reasonable efforts to cause contractors and subcontractors, vendors, and other third parties under its control to designate the city of Inglewood as the point of sale, ensuring that much, if not most, of the sales tax dollars make their way directly to the city. As you are made aware in the staff report, California Board of Equalization sets forth a $500,000 threshold for those to make sure that every dollar of those come to the city. This agreement, as stated with regard to CEQA, would be consistent with all of the actions that are listed within the draft EIR. Those are noted in your staff report, as well as the final EIR, Environmental Impact Report, and the July 17, 2020 EIR errata that was accompanied. The agreement would not make any changes to the significant impacts of the IBEC project and would not change the mitigation measures, mitigation monitoring and reporting program that was adopted by the city on July 21st, 2020. There have been no changes to the IBEC project or the circumstances associated with the IBEC project that require major changes to the EIR. Accordingly, this action requires no further CEQA review. We have with us in person our outside counsel, Mr. Royce Jones of Kane, Ballmer, and Berkman. We have on the phone Mr. Whit Manley of Remy Moose Manley. We have also Ms. Brenda Aguilar-Guerrero, who is our eminent domain specialist with Myers-Nave. We also have Brian Boxer, our CEQA consultant with ESA Environmental Science Associates. And of course, we have in our midst some of the team that assisted in putting this together, most notably Mr. Chris Meany and his development team, including Gerard McCallum, as well as others. So that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, with that, are there any persons present who wish to address the council on this matter? Are there any members of the public in community room A? Apparently not. Are there any callers on the line, operator?
Again, to make a public comment, please dial #2 on your telephone keypad. And we have no comments at this time.
Okay, we'll close that. Are there any questions of the council?
Not at this time.
I'd like to make a comment.
There's a comment. Yes, sir.
So I want to thank this council for having the ingenuity, mental wherewithal to identify that we've had over 13 parcels or 28 acres of virtually land with no taxes. At last, we can put them on the tax roll in addition to getting the $66 million in the sale of that property. Thanks to you council members, particularly you, Mayor, you made this happen, and I move for adoption of this resolution.
Second, Ralph, and congratulations to you as well.
You've had a really great run on the council, Councilman Franklin, and, you know, you've been here for every big thing that's happened. And you are so right. There are parcels there that have lain fallow for in excess of 30 years.
Yeah.
And now it'll generate property taxes, a portion of which will go to the state, which of course funds Inglewood Unified School District.
Yes.
And so this is definitely
Annually.
annually. This is definitely a great day. So with that,
Chris had a comment.
Yeah, just one quick, there was one modification to the agreement on page 53.
Okay.
It speaks to the first sentence in the fourth paragraph. It says the agreement along with certain marketing coordination agreement by and between the city and developer of even date herein. That's going to be strucken out because there is no marketing coordination agreement at this point. So just simply read this agreement along with the development agreement. That's one correction to that.
okay, so now what's going to be stricken
Page,
again?
page 53. Under entire agreement waivers and amendments. Second paragraph reads this agreement along with that certain marketing coordination agreement by and between the city and developer of even date herein and will be stricken.
Okay,
So
here,
look-
it reads herewith, but you're
Herewith.
saying the conjunction and will be stricken, and that's it?
No, it will be stricken beginning from, so this agreement along with, and then strike all the way to and,
All the way to,
where it stops and just before the development agreement.
So start at and,
No, this agreement along with, and then start at that.
also from that forward?
From that all the way to and.
so the sentence will begin with the development agreement constitute the entire agreement of the parties here too?
No, I think he's saying this agreement along with
With
respect to
the
the disposition. Is that right?
This agreement along with the development agreement.
Okay, so it stops at this and. So this agreement along with the development agreement constitutes the
Constitute.
entire agreement of the
Okay.
parties hereto with respect to the disposition of the project site
Right.
to developer and integrates all of the terms and conditions mentioned herein or incidental hereto and all agreements or understandings or representations between the parties. This agreement supersedes the ENA and all negotiations or previous agreements between the parties related to the ENA.
Correct,
So we
correct.
modify your motion for approval,
I so move.
And I second it.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mayor. Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Okay, A1. CM1. CM1. Okay, so we're gonna go back real briefly, you guys, to DR1. We had an update, this relates to the grant from the California Department of Transportation, accepting the Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program Grant, and this is an update on the Inglewood Transit Connector. Go
Good
ahead,
afternoon,
Mr.
Mayor and
Atwood.
members of the City Council. Thank you for approving the the DR1, the master agreement with Caltrans to receive the first tranche of up to $20 million of the $95 million. As you know, the city has proposed the Inglewood Transit Connector, the ITC project, which is a first and last mile transit project designed to provide convenient, reliable, time-certain, and direct transit accessibility to the city's major activity centers from the Metro Crenshaw LAX line and the larger metro rail system. The proposed project will include 1.6 miles of fully elevated automated people mover system with 3 new transit stations and is estimated to generate an annual transit ridership of approximately 7 million passengers by 2026. To date, the ITC project has completed significant planning, outreach, and implementation milestones. And Lisa Trifoletti of Trifoletti Consultants is here to just give us a brief update. Lisa.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Just wanted to give you a quick update. First, the EIR is well underway. A notice of preparation was released in 2018. And this week, we're going to be recirculating the NOP to reflect the refinements where we went from 5 stations to 3 stations. So that will be going out this week. And the EIR is anticipated to go out late October, the draft EIR. Second, I think you all know that we've submitted an application to the LA County Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, to establish a community services district. The mayor has also championed a conversation to be had with LA Metro to explore a joint powers authority, and we're making good progress there and to see if a joint powers authority would be an even better solution for the Inglewood Transit Connector. As we make progress on that, we'll come back and tell you the pros and cons and the opportunities with pursuing a JPA instead of the Community Services District. Louis just said we're very proud of the funds that we've been able to receive to date. South Bay COG, again, with the mayor's leadership and Councilmember Franklin, you were very instrumental in helping us achieve $233 million of unallocated highway funds. Those funds will be available to us in July of 2021. And the California Transportation Agency, CalSTA, they awarded us the $95 million that Louis just discussed, and we just received the first $20 million. So thank you for accepting that grant. Finally, we also have 3 procurements out on the street to help us implement the design, build, finance, operate, maintain availability, payment, delivery strategy. We're had interviewed financial advisors, civil infrastructure, as well as APM operating system and urban design folks. And so those contracts will be coming to you in the next couple of weeks. So to take the $20 million grant and take the project a step further. So we're just very proud of the progress we made and wanted to share that with you today.
Okay, Lisa, stay there 1 second. You know, Ms. Trifoletti is one of the preeminent people in her field, and we're very fortunate to have her work with us on this project. But would you explain the concept of availability payments for the public?
Sure. We're looking at a P3, a public-private partnership structure, where we would take in a partner to help us finance the project, and we would have, again, performance standards that our contractor would have to perform, and we would pay over the 30 years. And so we would pay that back over the 30 years, and as a project performs, that's when those availability payments are made. And so with the new financial advisory services team that we're bringing in, we're going to really unpack all the best, latest, and greatest strategies to be able to successfully achieve bringing this project to fruition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. City Manager, would you get Josh from IT and have him just confirm that the phone lines are operative, because, you know, it's unusual that no one would call in?
I did speak with him, and the phone lines are operative. We were just
They're
speaking.
operative?
Yes.
Okay. And make sure that we called in and tested them? I know, I'm just making sure. Okay, and have him confirm that the dial-in number is 888-251-2949 or 215-861-0694, with the access code being 659-8767 pound. I'm reading it right off what's in the book. No, I do want I want to make sure that's done. I want to make sure that they call in 888-251-2949 or 215-861-0694. But do me a favor, Arnie, I just want to make sure, would you give them my book and have them, or give them, all right.
Oh, Josh is calling in too.
So anyway, so if there is any problem, then we would reopen it, but, okay. So now, and Eloy, you read this off at the beginning of the meeting, these numbers? That's fine. And we've had this on our Facebook page, okay.
And I believe it's no different than it has been the last few weeks.
No, I got it. Okay. Just want to make sure. So for okay. We just want to make sure that everyone is able to make public comment. We're going to take a recess for 5 minutes. We just want to make sure, because I just find it odd no one's called in.
Please make this a must. We want to make sure.
Hello?
We want to make sure.
Yes.
This is a test.
Okay, good. And that's you, Josh. I
This
see
is a
you.
test.
All right. So, again, wait a minute, so we'll wait one more minute. We said we'd be 5 minutes, so in case someone left the television. You want to? Okay. Okay, so we're back in session, and before we get to the end where we have public comment, I just want to make sure that everybody's listening has the number, as it is posted in the agenda,
Mayor, your mic isn't on.
Well, it's not on, not because of me. Okay, so I think they're all cut. Oh, boy, okay.
You're on.
Are we on now? Okay, so again, before we get to the last public comment, the number as was read by Council Morales, as is posted in the agenda, is 888-251-2949 or 215-861-0694. The access code is 659-8767, pound. Wait 5 seconds and press pound again. Okay, so.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
you left at CC1, and we have not finished.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I get that. Okay, thank you very much. So anyway, there were no reports from the city manager, and now we're at CC1, city clerk.
No reports, Mayor, thank you.
All right. CSA 2,
Approval of the minutes of the meetings held on March 17th, March 24th, April 7th, April 24th, April 21st, May 5th, and May 12th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
now, did you mention May 12th as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Successor agency members, Dodson,
Abstain.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the successor agency H2.
Approval of the minutes of the meetings held on March 17th, March 24th, April 7th, April 21st, May 5th, and May 12th, 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Housing Authority members, Dodson,
Abstention.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. There are no appointments to boards, commissions, or committees. Public comment. Persons wishing to address the city council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered on the agenda may do so at this time. Are there any speakers in community room A? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is Billion with the Africa Town. I just want to tell all these white people this year trying to make these big $1 million deals with these sellouts on this council, Mayor Butts, this sellout. It's not going to happen. The same we over there every night contesting the sheriffs. We will contest all of this that's happening in Inglewood. Right now, there are people that are on the phone being denied to get through. They're talking about shutting down Community Room A for some emergency, but yet they about to open Sophie Stadium for mass gatherings. There's a petition online where people are saying they are not going to continue to be taxed to pay their salaries and pay for their sex crimes. We found out Melanie McDade also had a prior sex case, so we don't know what the hell is going on, but people are not going to be charged for this. And last week, people said, well, okay, if they're not going to give money to help the people, we suggested a fundraiser. People said, why don't we have a boxing match with Mayor Butts, Alex Padilla, Inglewood police, whoever want, get in the ring and handle this like men instead of all this bullshit y'all doing. Even a couple women said they willing to get in the ring.
Thank you, sir. That was very intelligent. That was so massively intelligent.
Hi, my name's Lily, District 1 resident. So y'all have been saying that these stadiums are going to be so great for the city, that it's going to bring all this economic prosperity. And the point of all that is to benefit Inglewood residents, is it not? But yet what we're seeing is people getting displaced left and right. And, well, because of these developments. And now this issue is being exacerbated because of the pandemic. So I'm again demanding that the city council's rent to help protect tenants that are struggling right now through no fault of their own. By not canceling rent, you're just delaying the mass evictions that are inevitable. And what's up with the phones? Like, how are you gonna check halfway through the meeting if they're working? That doesn't make sense. How is the access code changing like twice?
No, it hasn't changed, ma'am. We're just confirming that it was working.
Pretty sure it changed, but.
No, it did not change, ma'am. We're just confirming.
All right, well, either way, how are you gonna check halfway into the meeting?
Well,
Stop
because-
cutting my
because
time,
we
please.
wanted
Can
to
I
be
have
sure.
my minute?
Because we
Please?
wanted to be sure. You can go right ahead, but you
Well,
asked the
you
question, because we
ran
wanted
out
to
my
be sure.
time, but all
No, you
right.
go right ahead.
Well, yeah, like I said, how are you gonna check in like halfway
We
into the
checked
meeting?
because we wanted to be sure.
But halfway into the meeting?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, there kind of is if there's people that I know for a fact that are on the line trying to call in, and then you're not even checking until halfway in.
No, they'll get the call right now.
Well, like I said, I don't know why y'all have to check halfway in. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Listen, let you know, Mayor Butts, you one of the most corrupt, sellout black mayors ever seen. You a bad example to the black community. Like, just like we ain't scared, you got these pigs right here, sellout, coon, buck dancing ass pig right there, the one behind it. Tell you the truth, we ain't scared of pigs. Just like we at the sheriff's station every damn day tearing the shit up. Just like that at the Rochester, New York, we will tear this whole motherfucking city down if we have to. We just giving you a fair warning because we ain't scared of your police department. We ain't scared of these buck dancing niggas that you got up the stage right here. I'm telling you right now, man. We gonna do recall. If you don't, we gonna burn and tear. We gonna tear this motherfucking city up, and we don't care if you black or not because you ain't representing the black community. You ain't. You a disgrace to your own people. You got the multi-million-dollar projects, billion-dollar projects that gentrifying, and we gonna burn and tear this motherfucker if we have to. Black power.
Okay. Another very intelligent individual. Okay, with that. Oh, because. Hold on a second, we're gonna recess for 2 minutes.
Your mic's not on, Mayor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
To make sure there is no confusion, we're going to redo DR1, DR2, and the public hearing to make sure that people have access, to make sure. So
DR1 he doesn't have to do.
we're going to call DR1 again.
Yes. But Mayor, the public speaks on DR1 in the beginning.
Oh,
So
no,
you're fine.
No. That's right.
Like if you're
that's-
concerned about the
Okay.
public speaks on it in the beginning.
Only the PH.
Only PH1 is when the
Okay, all
public
right,
speaks.
okay, so then we'll do PH1, you're right. Then PH1 would be the only one that didn't get to speak.
Yes,
No, wait a minute, hold on.
the public speaks in the
But
beginning
here's
for
the thing.
DR1 and DR2.
But here's the thing.
They only speak via
Were they
PH1
online?
on the.
Madam Secretary?
Yes,
Madam Clerk, here's the problem. The problem is if anybody could not get in to speak because they don't think they have the right number, then they wouldn't have had the opportunity to speak on these items. So I'm going to do them again because if there was a problem, out of just an abundance of caution, so we're going to redo DR1.
No, but Mayor, yeah, I get what you're trying to do, and I think the appropriate thing would be to reopen public comment at the beginning and then take the votes again for DR1, DR2, having reopened those items.
Okay, and that's exactly what I'm suggesting,
Okay.
that we reopen DR1 and
And
DR2.
then reopen public comment
And-
for the beginning of the meeting.
Absolutely.
Vote again.
Okay. Okay, so,
Call for
Okay, so first, we're gonna call for public comment. Again, the number is 888-251-2949 or 215-861-0694. Access code is 659-8767. And so we're asking for public comment on actually virtually anything on the agenda right now. Operator, are there any callers on the line?
Once again, dialing #2 will indicate that you wish to make a comment. And I do see a couple of comments here.
Go right
Caller,
ahead.
your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
3
State
minutes.
your name.
3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Cerise Cryer. I'm asking that the mayor and council please consider and stop moving forward with any project until you have presented a time for public interaction on the potential basketball stadium, similar to the one that was done downtown a few years ago. We had access to the environmental impact report that was sent directly to us. We were also able to view the plans for the potential stadium in real time. I've reached out to Councilman Padilla's office. I have not received a response back about my concern. I have contacted the Clippers. I've not received a response back about my concern. And I have also spoken with Sydney Camlegre-Dove since the first bill that she passed when she became in office was to fast-track the environmental impact report. The city of Inglewood and the residents have not had an opportunity to see this in real time, so I'm encouraging the mayor and the city council to please have a Zoom call or send some literature in the mail to the residents so that we can view everything in person and in real time instead of having to go through all the links on the website. For the city, it's very, very tedious. So again, I'm asking that you would please stop moving forward with any basketball project until we as residents have a good time to properly vet everything, and we can ask specific questions and view it not from a PDF and not from a gossip website, but from the city and or the developers. This is to the developers too. You need to be talking to the residents. You don't just need to be talking to the city council and the mayor. Please and thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other callers?
Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and state your name and comment.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Am I live now?
Yes.
Someone else's previous time is going.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Go right ahead.
Okay, yes. My name is Tiffany, and I'm with the Lennox Inglewood Tenants Union, and I'm calling to denounce this building of the Clipper Stadium because I feel like it is harmful environmentally in terms of our breathing and our health. We have high rates of asthma. As one of the other previous callers from Litsu mentioned, the Sophie Stadium, there have been deaths and illness due to coronavirus as well. We don't need another stadium that is packing more people in and exacerbating the health concerns that we are already dealing with as working class Black and brown tenants. And really, it's just unconscionable. But, with all this process problems and things that are happening, you've already made up your mind of what you're going to do because this has been in the works since it was called Murphy's Bowl LLC and people didn't even know that it was the Clippers and money was being hidden as a result of that. And so it's really just another in the long line of shady dealings that have gone on with police brutality records that have been destroyed and deleted. 26 years worth have been destroyed and deleted. The highest paid police chief in Southern California is with the Inglewood PD. We are a city of 110,000 people. We don't need that kind of policing. We need social services. We need rent cancellation, $500. That's not enough for anyone, as much as you may think that we're just complaining for no reason at all. We're complaining because we're concerned about our health. We're concerned about the health of our community, of families who are living in the area, students who are facing homelessness as a result of not being able to pay rent. And the power is in your hands to be able to do that. This stadium and the jobs that are being offered, even just with concession stands and the amount of money that people will be making here, it's short-term, it's short-lived, and it's dangerous. And I'm concerned because I am a longtime resident of Inglewood. I've grown up here. I see my neighbors' houses and people leaving because they can't afford to stay in Inglewood. And it's not only just destroying people financially, it's destroying our communities. It's leaving a wedge and a hole in our communities for people to come in who don't have the same kind of compassion for our communities. And not that everyone who comes in is like that, because we have a lot of people who we we have been able to make community with. That's not really as much of the issue as the fact that people are dealing with homelessness, they're dealing with poverty, and a bag of food or a box of cereal every now and then just isn't enough. It's not going to cut it. We have to cancel rent. We have to take the money from these police who are killing people who are asleep in their cars. Remember, Keisha Michaels and Mark Quinton Sandlin, you know, that's not necessary, and we don't need to be paying people for more of that because it's not a matter of training. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of them wanting to do it to intimidate the working class and people here because they know we need to fight back because we have won against Walmart. We have fought corporations. We have organized together, and we're going to be doing that again. And we're going to continue to do that because that's what is the healthiest for the working class, and that's who decides the best decisions is us for ourselves, not people who are taking $1 million from corporations and have their interest at heart, but actually the people of
Thank you,
Inglewood.
ma'am.
We're the ones who are rising up, and we just
Operator, thank you. Next caller.
Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and state your name and comment.
My name is Rick Ford. I'm a member of the Lennox Inglewood Tenants Union. I reside at 803 North Eucalyptus Avenue. I am looking at the notice of the council meeting, and I am looking at the dial-in access code, which says 5967569. That is what is up on your site, not 6598767. That's the one you just gave us. So this is not really a public hearing.
Absolutely,
your
it is.
document.
Absolutely, it is, sir, because we're talking to you right now.
Well, yeah, you're talking to me, but you're not talking to all the other people who tried to get into this meeting and dialed the access code or put the access code 5967569 and couldn't get in and didn't know how to do otherwise. And because there was a announcement of the actual access code during the council meeting. So what kind of a public hearing is that? There was a few days notice. There's no real actual participation of residents who work during the day. In other words, there's no public hearing at a time when working people are available. There's unreasonable time limits put on the amount of time people have to speak. Residents of Inglewood need to be fully informed of any changes that affect their livelihood. And apparently, at least from the Los Angeles Times editorial in March of 2020, it is indicating that large amounts of money from the city budget will be used to fund the mass transit, the People Mover, that's really designed to bring people who live outside of Inglewood into the city for sporting events and to alleviate traffic. That's not a real choice. That's a Hobson's choice. In other words, vote for the money for the People Mover, or suffer the consequences of traffic and pollution and everything else that cars create. So I urge a no vote on PH1. I urge the council to conduct a real public hearing on these issues so that people who are available in the evening only because they work can participate in public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
No other callers in the queue.
Okay. Now, so could I have a motion to rescind the votes on DR1 and DR2?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. Now, with the public comment that we received, I want to, is there a motion for DR1?
Move items 1 and 2.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR2?
I move adoption of the resolution.
First, we've already rescinded it. Now, he moves adoption for
Second.
DR2. Councilman Morales seconds. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. And I want to have a motion to rescind the vote on PH 1.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. And now we'll redo it. Madam Clerk, what's the next scheduled matter?
It's a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution approving a disposition and development agreement between Murphy's Bowl LLC and the city regarding development of the Inglewood Basketball and Entertainment Center.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and City Council. On August 15, 2017, this City Council, the City of Inglewood, as successor agency to the former Inglewood Redevelopment Agency and the Inglewood Parking Authority, approved an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement with Murphy's Bowl LLC for the proposed development of a premier state-of-the-art National Basketball Association professional basketball arena and other ancillary uses on properties located within a study area that was defined in the ENA. As contemplated by the ENA, the exclusive negotiating agreement, the parties agreed to negotiate a disposition and development agreement which would provide for the acquisition by the developer of certain city-owned properties and a process for the potential acquisition of privately owned properties within the study area. You may recall on July 21st, 2020, this council adopted a resolution certifying the project environmental impact report, and then also, in addition to other actions by the council, introduced an ordinance approving a development agreement between Murphy's Bowl LLC and the city. Subsequently, on July 28, 2020, this council also adopted the ordinance approving the development agreement between Murphy's Bowl and LLC and the city, as well as other actions. The proposed agreement is to provide for the development, as I previously stated, of a premier arena on the site and other ancillary uses for the use, the recreation, the enjoyment of the public, as well as those certain ancillary uses on the project site. The development proposal consists of the sale of city parcels to the developer, along with the potential acquisition and sale of private properties within the arena site to the developer. The project site, as you may recall, is near the intersection of Prairie Avenue and Century Boulevard, and is approximately 28 acres in size. Many of the vacant or undeveloped properties on the project site were acquired by the city successor agency between the mid-1980s and early 2000s, utilizing grants issued by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, as part of the Noise Control Land Use Compatibility Program for the Los Angeles Airport. These grants were aimed at removing residential land uses which were deemed incompatible with the overhead flight path. The agreement sets forth the terms for the disposition and development of certain properties under the control of the city and a process for the potential acquisition of these properties not within its control. Summarized in the staff report are several points of which I'll discuss. One, the sale and purchase of the city parcels that are under the control of the city, and appraisal has been done for fair market value and identified $66,250,000 as the value for those properties. And those, of course, will be adjusted as set forth in the agreement. Number two, the acquisition of the private parcels. Prior to this particular meeting, the developers utilized reasonable good faith efforts to acquire the private parcels. And despite those efforts, the developer has been unable to acquire all the private properties. And as such, the city may, in its own and absolute discretion, attempt to acquire the remaining private parcels and shall comply with all statutory and legal requirements applicable to the city proposed acquisition of those remaining private parcels. Number three, the responsibility of the development of the site, and I'll combine that with number four, the cost of construction. Both of those are squarely and solely the responsibility of the developer to both develop the site as well as the costs associated with that development. The responsibility of the city is really about clearing the site. The site has had some use as overseen by our Public Works Director and Assistant City Manager, Mr. Lewis Atwell, and his team for construction on Century Boulevard and Prairie Avenue. those properties would have to be brought back into its original state before that activity, and then thus turned over to the developer. Number 6, development of the hotel site. The city acknowledges through this agreement that the developer currently intends to transfer that hotel site to a third-party developer for development of a hotel. Number 7, the employment and training agreement. And obviously, we want to emphasize the extraordinary activities that are going on with regard to working within our city and working with our city residents and business owners. The city, as part of this, developer has agreed to enact a employment and training agreement. Highlighting those are a goal of 30% of the total value of the project for contractors and subcontractors to minority contractors. And of that 50% of that 30% to local businesses. In addition, establishing utilizing up to $600,000, at least $600,000 towards workforce outreach, and then at least $150,000 towards job fairs over the next 4 years. Finally, the point of sale. In this particular, we've talked strongly about making sure that we reserve as much sales tax dollars as possible in the city, and the developer has to use its commercial reasonable efforts to cause its contractors, subcontractors, vendors, and other third parties to designate the city of Inglewood as a point of sale. As you know, California Board of Equalization has set a $500,000 limit to effectuate that, but in addition to that, the developer has agreed to steer as much sales tax remuneration to us as possible. The agreement, if approved, would be, as far as CEQA is concerned, the agreement would be consistent with the draft EIR, and this is all set forth in the staff report, and the final EIR, and the July 17, 2020 EIR errata. The agreement, as proposed, will make no changes to the significant impacts of the IBEC project and would not change the mitigation measures or the mitigation monitoring and reporting program that was adopted by City Council on July 21st, 2020. There have been no changes to the IBEC project or circumstances associated with the IBEC project that require any major changes to the EIR as a result of this agreement, and therefore no further CEQA review is required. We have with us, we have outside counsel, Mr. Royce Jones of Kane, Ballmer, and Berkman. We have Mr. Whit Manley, also outside counsel with Remy Moose Manley. We have Ms. Brenda Aguilar Guerrero, eminent domain lawyer for Myers-Nave. We have Brian Boxer, our secret consultant of ESA, Environmental Science Association, Associates. We have Mr. Chris Meany and his team, including Gerard McCallum, here to answer any questions that may come forth. One modification on page 53 of the DDA, the Disposition Development Agreement, under entire agreement waivers and amendments, second paragraph, we're asking that you strike the verbiage. It says the agreement along with, and then strike out that certain marketing coordination agreement by and between the city of developer of even date herewith, and strike that entire part out so that it now reads, this agreement along with the development agreement constitute the entire agreement of the parties hereto with respect to the disposition of the project site to the developer and integrates all of its terms and conditions mentioned herein and incidental hereto, and all agreements or understandings or representations between the parties. This agreement supersedes the ENA and all negotiations or previous agreements between the parties related to the ENA. That concludes my presentation, and staff as well as our team are available to answer any questions.
Okay, so with that, we're going to open it up again for public comment. Operator, are there any callers on the line?
Once again, dialing #2 indicates you wish to make a comment. And we do have one caller here on the line. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and state your name and comment.
My name is Gil Matthew, District 4. Mayor Butts and City Council. On these sites, how will these sites eliminate blight? Now, we have a long-range property plan. Now, the the monies that's coming from these plants, and it will be sold, I assume, at market rate. And we want to know, it's going back to the successor agency to reduce the obligations of the bonds, and also what is the cost to the city? You see, today we had a glitch in the people being able to call in. And the other thing is this public hearing on short notice. And it was noted that August 26th was the day that you noticed. And now, the day after Labor Day, you're having a meeting. And you've never had that before. And also on posting of the hearing, you have a full-page ad in a paper that comes out on Thursday. So something is not right. And all that people want to do is be heard and have an opportunity to talk. And you've done everything in your can do from the day you were elected. You changed the council meetings from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. The only city in the South Bay. And then even from that, on your ordinance, that public hearings will be at 7 o'clock. You have no respect for the law. And I'm done. Okay? And this whole council, they need to be investigated. And you sit here and do all of this. People are listening. RICO is listening. The state controller is listening. And it's all public information. And here you 1 month from the fiscal year, and here you're coming around with something that's talking about 2 years or 3 years. You're not making any sense. So I'm done. And a resident, I don't know what it's going to take to learn.
Operator, are there any other callers?
There are no other callers in the queue.
Thank you. So with that, we'll open it up again to Community Room A, but they were, okay, that's right, because we reheard it. Okay, so anyone in Community Room A? Well, there was no one wanted to speak on it before. All right. Okay.
Mayor, I move adoption of the resolution.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Dotson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales. Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buzz.
Aye. Okay, now, let's see. The only other thing we can do, we'll open up the phone line for public comment regarding other matters not covered in the public hearing or on the agenda in the event there was someone that couldn't get through. And so, operator, are there any other calls?
Once again, to make a comment, please dial #2 on your telephone keypad. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and state your name and comment. Caller, please go ahead. All right, moving forward. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and state your name and comment.
Okay, this is Gil Matthew, District 4. Mayor Button, City Council. Here again, I'm going to speak on public comments. We need 7 p.m. meetings. People are not informed. They have no idea what's going on. The SoFi Stadium opens on the 13th. It's a beautiful stadium. But I'm not understanding why you so much want people to remain uninformed. And I don't understand it. And I don't want to believe that you guys are a puppet for some unknown reason and unnamed person. But I tell you, you got a pass on being black, because there's no way the decisions, these Ku Klux Klan decisions you guys have made, that if it was the
Thank you,
opposite
Mr.
truth,
Matthew.
it would have been marching years ago.
Operator, we're at time. Okay, operator, are there any other callers?
There are no other callers in the.
Okay. So, no, we already went. We did. We did.
Oh, we did for the public comment.
We sure did. I went back there again already. Okay. Oh, council comment. Councilman Dodds.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
This has been a very informative meeting.
Very much so.
For those of you who need to shred your important papers, this Saturday is my shredding event. It will start at 9 o'clock. So please be there on time. It'll be from 9 to 12. I don't want you to be one of those that we can't shred your papers because you came at 12:05. So please be on time and let us shred your papers, your important papers. And we will be, you will have to have a mask on. Okay, I had the privilege today to go to the ribbon cutting of one of the most beautiful, large stadiums in the world. This has to be a blessing for the city of Inglewood. This stadium will keep giving financially for years.
That's nice.
That's presidential, Dotson. That's a presidential picture.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my God.
I don't know where that came from, but great, thanks. But anyway, not only will the stadium keep giving for years, we have people have got jobs at that stadium that couldn't be hired anywhere else. They now have a trade. They can go from this stadium to anywhere else that they need an employee. So to me, this council and this mayor, you can't ask more than that from anyone. When you get the benefit of a job that will keep on giving for years and years, and a stadium that will also be producing tax revenue for years and years, it don't get no better than that. So I know everybody's got their own opinion, but you got to start looking at facts. And those are facts. Thank you very much. Have a good week.
Councilman Padilla, District 2.
Great, thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. Again, I also want to congratulate Mr. Cronky and Mr. Spanos, the Rams, the Chargers, on the opening of their brand new, or I should say, our brand new stadium here in the city of Inglewood. So much work went into getting to today's ribbon cutting, and I want to also thank our community. The community, they came through for us as a city to help us get this stadium open. So it's going to benefit not only our residents here in Inglewood, but as we always said, in the region. We are becoming the mecca of sports and entertainment. And if you look at today's agenda and you heard the reports on the Inglewood Transit Connector Project, the ITC, and you looked at the IBEC projects that we're working on for the entertainment center, the basketball entertainment center, all of these things that we're doing to improve the city of Inglewood. And, it is so amazing, how here in Inglewood, the transition that we have come through in just the past, 8 years or so, where we were and where we're at today and where we're headed. These are truly some very exciting time for our community and for the city, and I want to thank our staff. I mean, you heard the presentations, we get to read these reports, we take our homework, and we get caught up. These staff reports are very well done, they're reviewed also by the city manager, the city attorney, make sure everything's put together for us to come out and discuss it. As a community, we value your input. You are part of this process. And to ensure that we had you involved in this process, the mayor went and said, you know what? Out of an abundance of caution, let's reopen this. Let's get back and let's do these reports again, and let's give the public a chance to make their comments heard, their voice heard. And so he did that. But yet it's funny how some folks will still find fault for that, right? Amazing, but, go figure. All I want to do is say this. The city of Inglewood is moving. We're moving in the right direction. We're doing so many positive things here in our community. And I commend our staff. I commend the leadership up here. And I commend the community for their continued support. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Councilman Franklin, District 4.
Yes, clearly want to thank Dean Spamatos and Stan Kroenke for their major investment in the stadium. But I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the godfather, and that is Chris Meany. Chris Meany weathered the storm all the way since 2005, and he fought the good fight of faith because he knew that there was members on the council that may not have supported the land reuse, their land changing. But thank goodness those members on the council at that time, he was able to count to 4 consistently on which we were able to do this land use change. So now I can clearly identify that the Hollywood Park tomorrow is now today, and I was blessed to see the Alpha and the Omega while I still serve in this council. Now I have a sad point that I could hardly handle it, so I'm going to do what I can. And that is, Mayor, I want you to close the meeting in honor of my best friend, Commissioner Terry Leroy Coleman, who passed away on Thursday. We've known each other for nearly 30 years. We were called brothers, and that he will be missed. I got to go. Sorry.
Okay. Councilman Morales, District 3.
Thank you, and my condolences to you, Councilman Franklin. The one thing we all know is what good a friend you were all the way to the end. And we could all only hope that we have friends like you were to Terry. Mayor, when we close, I would also like to sadly give you a name for Miss Edna Slaughter, who is a longtime Inglewood resident who passed away. That's Miss Edna Slaughter. Now, in regards to the comments, obviously today was a great day in opening the stadium. It's something that we have been talking about for the last 5 years. Some of the process was talked about today, but in reality, you can't put into words how something like that comes into fruition. So many people to thank, and now we just hope that the residents will begin to enjoy it as much as is expected. And with that, I mean all of the visitors that are sometimes deemed to be outsiders, they're gonna come in, they're gonna spend money in our city, and that money will go for our residents. So those are perspectives we have to keep. We heard some comments earlier about the Clippers Arena and Murphy's Bowl, and how they have discussed how negative the impacts would be, and it's not true. When prices go up for rent, it is understood that property values can't double and rents stay the same. This is how the economy works. What we did as a council was respond as well that we could as well as we could to that impact, and that brought forth our rental ordinance, the rental protection ordinance, and it brought forth the additional $500 that we issued to folks that qualify from the care package that the federal government sent in, based on the COVID pandemic.
That we are front-loading.
Those are things, those are responses, because we cannot hold back our city. And what we need to do is really learn how to live with our success. And those are choices that we decided to make here, and ensuring that the city continue to prosper. There is no perfect project. There is no perfect process. All we can hope for is, that folks that need to participate do so, when it comes to getting jobs and when it comes to making comments. So I just wanted to say that, and that's it. Doesn't change how great a day it was today. Thank you, Mayor.
So, just to piggyback on that a little bit, the city transitioned from one that by 2010 had infrastructure renewal so delayed that we had sinkholes that would occur on major thoroughfares like Century Boulevard. Sinkholes. That means water's leaking underground. The city had somewhere in the area of 28 to 38 murders a year when I returned. The city had a very, very bad gang problem, and the city had no source of revenue to close an $18 million structural deficit. The city had one thing going for it, extraordinarily low property values, because no one wanted to move here from someplace else. When it comes to council meetings, the LA City Council, City of Los Angeles has 4 million people. Their council meetings are at 10 a.m. The County Board of Supervisors board meetings are, I think it's 2 in the afternoon. There's 11 million people in the county. To pretend this fantasy that everything would be so much better if we only had councils at 7 p.m. is ridiculous. This city council chamber holds about 35 people. 35 people. We couldn't, in this COVID climate, have 35 people in here anyway. So, and then when you listen to the quality of the commentary, one person gets up, uses profanity, racist, derogatory racial profanity, and he believes, I think, that that gives his words power. He denigrates himself. He denigrates the dignity of the meeting. And this is what we've come to. These are the detractors. These are the detractors we have now in Inglewood. I can live with that. I've worked for 3 different cities: Los Angeles, Inglewood, Santa Monica, and now Inglewood again. And I'm going to have to tell you this, that I've had some really high moments. Today, when we opened, cut the ribbon for that stadium, I have to tell you, it's the biggest day in 48 years for me. That today was historic. The only things that come close, the opening of Madison Square Garden, the opening of the Coliseum, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Dodger Stadium. Those are the only things that can come close. and they don't touch this happen here in the city of Inglewood. And I want to talk about two gentlemen that are always in the background. They didn't even get acknowledged today, and that's Chris Meany and Gerard McCallum. These guys have worked their butts off. They have believed in this city. They have shepherded the Cronky Group, Balmer's people, Madison Square Garden. We'll forgive you for that. They showed them the Inglewood way. They showed them and they reinforced what I and the council have always done, showed them that nothing works if it doesn't work for the residents. We have about 2,880 residents that have worked on the stadium project. Now, it's more than them just having medium-term, long-term construction jobs. It's far more than that. You know, the Bible says you give a man a fish, you feed him for one meal. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. These residents have a trade. They have companies that know their work. Across the street, there's another $1 billion project. Many of them will transition there. Others will transition to other projects with these companies. We have, I love that picture, by the way. Let's see, hold on a second. We have something miraculous that's happened here that's only happened in 3 mega cities, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. We've attracted 3 professional sports teams. But we did it within a 2.5-year period, what took them a generation to do. So I want to thank Stan Kroenke, Dean Spanos, SoFi, Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, and I want to thank Chris Meany, Gerard McCallum, Stockbridge Capital, Terry Fancher. They were here for the long term. And with that, I'm going to close the meeting in the name of Edna Slaughter and our dear friend, Terry LeRoy Coleman. We're adjourned.